So, not only Cataclysm Classic has been officially announced long time ago, but we also got some words regarding the beta test of it. This means that the days of old Zul'Gurub are slowly being counted down by one. Originally Zul'Gurub, or ZG as I'm going to refer to it from now on, has been removed during patch 4.03, which according to WoWpedia and WoWhead was not part of the pre-patch, which was patch 4.01. According to the original timeline, we were given roughly 3 patches, 4 depends on how you count it, during which ZG still remained in the game. But with 4.03, it got removed and later in 4.10 replaced by its dungeon counterpart. That much about the history. How it's gonna go with Classic, we don't know yet. My hope is that, like with Onyxia, we will be given option to toggle between the old ZG and new ZG, but we haven't heard a single word regarding that, so I would not count on it. Regardless of that, right now is the perfect time to start farming the old Tiger and Raptor if you haven't done that yet, and this is what this video is about. I'm going to split it into 2 parts. In this one we are gonna focus on Raptor, and I will teach you how to solo farm it as most classes, as well as I'm going to explain some shortcuts and gear you can take to make it way easier. And I'm also gonna explain how the lockout of ZG actually works, because it's a little bit different. And let's start with the lockout, because it's the easiest part of this video. Unlike majority of raids, ZG is on 3-day lockout. This means that the raid resets every 3 days instead of every 7 days. Because of that, you cannot count on Wednesday being the reset day. Rather simply, check your in-game calendar or raid tab for info about resets. Generally, you can clear ZG twice a week. Now for the classes. For the purpose of this video, we are talking about farming Mandokir for the Raptor mount. I decided to split all available classes into 3 categories, and these are easy, effort, and not worth it. Easy are classes that can literally walk there, face tank the boss, kill him, and be on their merry way, and these classes are Death Knights, Paladins, Feral Druids, Warriors, and sometimes Shamans. These classes can largely just face tank the boss. Some of them need to have at least Ulduar or higher PvE gear, or their like ICC PvP equivalent, the Honors one. Namely, everyone beside DK and Paladins will have to get at least some gear first. Paladins and DKs, especially with tanking talents, will be fine with any gear that's not just leveling greens. And regarding the Shaman, I'm not sure if Resto Shaman is capable of killing the boss, but let's be honest, isn't it a little bit weird to be solo farming in healing spec? In the effort category we got Hunter, Rogue, Balance Druid, Shadow Priest. So, as these classes you need to clear out the whole area surrounding the boss and do a little bit of kiting. We will get to that later on in this video, and then you'll be able to solo farm this guy as well. If you are gonna be farming Mandokir on any of these classes, I highly recommend getting the best PvE gear you can get, because none of these has much of survivability. Having engineering can prove to be highly advantageous, because of the rocket boots mainly, but you can always get Potion of Swiftness or Zanza buff. Also, I highly recommend bringing Healing Potion, Bandages, and any buffs. Food, Flask, Potion Scrolls, anything. Sometimes the boss can be really mean to these classes. And I know I could include Warlock, but that's with a little bit of cheese, and I draw a line of cheating right behind path exploiting. And lastly, we got the classes in the not worth it category, which is any healing spec, all mages, and all warlocks. Don't get me wrong, you can kill Mandokir as any mage or warlock, but the amount of trash clearing, running, kiting, and just annoyance of waiting around making this farm extremely tedious and not worth it in my eyes. If you got nothing else, then these classes, sure, go for it, but you really have to clear every single mob in a huge portion of ZG, and then kite the boss around, which takes ages. And or exploit the game in a way that could in theory leave you with banned account, which I'm not gonna recommend either. Just ask friend and go there with him, as having someone else makes this raid trivial. Now, how do you actually solo farm this boss? Well, going solo in almost all cases, I had to kill the Raptor as soon as possible. So for starters, just nuke the Raptor down and let Mandokir enrage. While enrage, the boss deals extra damage, so if you are not in easy category, just start kiting now, or die and do it all again. He will continue raging for roughly 2 minutes, I believe, after which he returns to his normal state. If you are Druid, BM Hunter or any healing class, you can afford to take some extra damage here and there. Otherwise, all you have for healing is bandages, HP pot and maybe lifeblood if you are a herbalist, so make sure to avoid as much damage as possible. The boss only has about 4 notable attacks, one of which is Bladestorm. Just make sure to be far enough from him and use this opportunity to nuke him down as much as possible while he's casting it. Charge. This one doesn't not have infinite reach, but he will cast it anyway to get closer to you. If he catches up to you, you get stunned, but if I remember correctly, you won't get damaged by it. Keep in mind he usually casts something else straight after the charge anyway. Up next is Fear, which sucks big time. Being human, priest with Fear Ward or shaman with the correct totem out helps a lot. And Threatening Gaze, which he casts while standing still for a few seconds. Again, use this window to nuke the boss as much as possible. And then break line of sight till Threatening Gaze debuff disappears. That's because if the boss has line of sight on you, when the debuff ticks down to 0, you're gonna get struck by Guillotine spell, which causes massive amount of physical damage. Once I basically got one-shotted because I got hit for 15k on my Balanced Druid, which is basically one-shot if you are not full HP. Many guides call for stop all action. Issue is, if you are soloing this boss, you are the only target, so he will kill you anyway with his melee. If you are like stop moving, stop anything, he will kill you in melee, so just keep running, let the debuff disappear, return to fight. For the strategy, once you get the Raptor down, there are only 2 approaches that work every single time. If you are in the easy category, just bring the boss down to the top of the pyramid, go to the back of the backside of the pedestal and nuke the boss down. I think if you drop below like 75% HP, just to be sure. DKs have the fight by far easiest, and they can even literally fight the boss with the Raptor on his, the boss and Raptor at once, and just cleave down the Raptor slowly over the duration of the fight. Other classes, just make sure don't die facing him. If you are not in the easy category, then continue with the other strategy that I'm gonna cover now. By the way, in this place that I described before, the top of the pyramid, back of the side of the pedestal, in this place, even when you get feared, you are never going full way down the stairs and you won't be running around. This way you can skip the trash clearing as well and just kill the boss, which saves a lot of time. Anyway, for anyone else, you really have to clear all the trash in this area, so you are not gonna get feared into it later on. Once again, Raptor is down, and now it's time to kite the boss around the pyramid. I highly recommend taking advantage of the stairs. When the boss is behind you, just run up to the stairs, roughly 1/3 of the length of the stairs, and as the boss starts closing the distance on you, jump down to the side as shown in this video. This way the boss will have to path around 3 times the distance you just covered, while you can just either start another circle around the pyramid, or wait for him to cover the corner and then jump down from the pedestal you jumped on and repeat the same stairs trick again. I'm just gonna quickly mention, don't literally jump, don't use the spacebar, because if you use the spacebar, the game thinks you are trying to glitch him and you will get teleported to the boss. If you're a caster / ranged, the fight is pretty easy and straightforward. Just get the boss health down faster than he gets your down to 0. If you are not, which in the effort category is just rogue, then save all your cooldowns and then align them with avoidance, nuking the boss as hard as possible, saving your bacon. This fight can drag for a half an hour easily, but you will get him down eventually, and with better gear you will clear him faster. And that's basically it. As I mentioned previously, there are some boosts and shortcuts you can take, the biggest one being the Swiftness of Sansa, which will give you 25% running speed. You can get it from Zandalari tribe, I believe. Then Engineering Nitro Boots, Herbalism's Lifeblood, Humans and Draenei's active racial bonuses as well. If you are a Hunter or Night Elf, don't use Feigned Death or Shadowmant unless you get permanent pet to hold your aggro. As a Hunter, if you get your pet alive, you can use both of these spells, that's Feigned Death and Shadowmelt, as long as your permanent pet is alive, keep that in mind. And you can use it to drop aggro and make the boss attack your pet instead. Even better use of these spells is you can interrupt the boss's Threatening Gaze cast. Another great hunter tip is use the deterrence with the guillotine because it can deflect it, so you can keep nuking for a little longer. And that's basically it. I can't really think about anything else right now. So, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in part 2 where I'm going to explain how to solo farm Zulian Tiger.